very happy. I am told that I should talk to you about Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Ma Sharda, and Swami Vivekananda. Talking about this trio on for a yoga teachers, many a time people will think why this is necessary for a yoga teacher to listen about Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Ma Sharda, and Swami Vivekananda. What it has to do with a yoga teacher? It is in fact their life will teach us much more. Why should we be in the field of yoga? You learn that in yoga you learn all the ashtanga vidyas. You will know, you learn yama and niyama, and we will share it with others, because yoga teachers means naturally we have to share it with others. So they are the people who lived that. They in their life they had this yama niyama. They did not have to teach anybody. That was their life. No need to teach in the by taking some language. In fact, their life itself was yama niyama, learned from them by their life, by the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. How he lived, a very simple person, not having the school education like any one of us we have now, not speaking in English or any other language other than Bangla, which was his mother tongue. And people were simply getting attracted to that personality, not having any jeans and a pant and coat and all that. How? And not having that kind of hairstyle, etc. How people were so attracted to this personality. Whenever I read of him or I look at him, I feel how this has happened, because it's truly they lived what they speak, and that is why it became an example. Life became an example. And then keeping the example as life, one's own life, it was so easy for the people to pick it up. The people who came around him, they just picked up from his life. And such a leadership quality, when we talk about Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Dev. And Swami Vivekananda called him as Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishna te namaha. सारे अवतारों के वरिष्ठ, ऐसा उसका meaning होता है कि the one who had the best avatara we had. We say Matsya Kurma, that 10 avatars we say, and among all these avatars, the best, Swami Vivekananda says, it is Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Dev, whose life was embodiment of everything for good, for divine. That is what Swami Vivekananda used to speak about his guru. That Swami Vivekananda's life also, he was thinking, people, they speak about God. Have anybody seen God? How is the God looks, where he sits, and all that question was there in him. And he used to ask many people, and everybody used to tell him, yes, God is there, I know, but then I don't know how to tell you how the God looks like. And in the search, this person goes to Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Dev, and when he enters and talks to him, Sri Ramakrishna says, yes, I have seen God. As I am seeing you in front of me, much more clearer than that I have seen God. Not only that I have seen God, I can make you to see God. See, what a kind of confidence, you just imagine. A student goes with a question to a teacher, and a teacher giving answer with such a confidence, which a child will not learn, which child will not like the teacher. Anybody comes to us having a question in their mind, and we are able to solve their problem, with our own life example. Such teachers are the need of the hour today in the society. And Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa Dev was of such a type of teacher. Child can ask anything, student can ask anything. There is nothing like this question or that question, nothing like that. For everything he had answer. He used to be very like a child, he will speak, and he will move like a child only. So simple in his approach. And the disciples came from various walks of life. They They were all like families and all that they had. They were in the business and they were of different professions, artists and all that. And there were people who were like, they were, what I can say, all the bad qualities like drinking, going behind women at night and all that type of people also used to come. And for him, no one was bad. And like that, there were these disciples. They used to ask him that, without knowing them, maybe he is loving them. They used to think like that. But this man, when he sees somebody, he used to X-ray everything what is inside. He can understand and catch up everything what is going on. But in his approach, they will never come to know that he understands everything. Such a great personality who really lived the godly life, and he gave an example to the society today. It was not very far away, very near. We are fortunate that we have been born who has seen Swami Vivekananda. Such people in a tradition, they are very close to us, that they're not very far away from us. Like Matsya Avatar or Kurma Avatar, if we say that it was very far away. But Sri Ramakrishna is such a thing that we are very close. And that is why we are really very lucky to be born on this land of Mother Bharat, where such avatars used to be there. And such a people, when we think about their life, how simple, humble, and we can also learn and follow that. That is very simplest way. Sri Ramakrishna's, some of the time they say about his leadership quality, how it is. I came across one professor speaking about three important system, or maybe the way a leadership should be. That professor, he was taking example of Sri Rama, Sri Krishna and Ramakrishna. Rama, Krishna, Ramakrishna. Like that, he was taking the example. How these three leaderships today, the need of the society, like that he was explaining. So he simply took some kind of example, like Sri Rama sitting in a train coming from Mumbai, and it is starting from a particular railway station. And Mumbai railway station is so full of people always, and how crowded it is, and they don't get a seat to sit. So people without ticket also, they climb in and then get down in between and all that. And see, he is saying the example in a seat, Sri Rama, sorry, Sita, Rama and Lakshmana, three of them were sitting. He was telling that it is S1, these three were sitting. They not AC and all that, no, simple sleeper, they were sitting. So naturally, Sita being there with him, and Sita was given the window seat, and then Rama sat, and then Lakshmana sat. So one person entered inside. Then he was keeping his bag and looking at Lakshmana, that will you give me little space to sit? And Lakshmana so furious, he will not make him to sit. And then he is again and again looking that will you give seat, not asking, just looking at. So what happens? Rama is seeing all these things, but Lakshmana is not interested in making that person to sit there. He's not ready to give the space. But then Rama says, Arey Lakshman, you just move little and give little space to that person. Let him also sit, because we are only three are sitting. One more can be accommodated. So then that person was, because when brother says he can't do anything, then Lakshmana has to just obey. So he gave the seat. And this fellow sat there. Now, once the space is given, Lakshman has now forgotten that the fellow is sitting and all that. He has given up now. But Rama was full of alertness. How this person is going to be with us. And then this fellow sat there, slowly, few minutes later, his hand lifted and, slowly coming behind of Lakshmana, behind of Rama, and it is slowly reaching to Sita. And, our, this man was so aware, Rama was aware of what is happening. And then Rama immediately gets up and catch hold of his collar and ask, have you got a ticket with you? Then this fellow says, no. Then you get out, making him get out. Now, this is a leadership which gives a long rope, a chance for a person to, come near. And a chance is given, but he misused the chance. Once he misused the chance, no more chance. Ask him to get out, made him to get out. And now the next compartment, Rukmini, Krishna, and Balrama, they are sitting. Rukmini is, of course, in the window seat. Then Krishna is sitting. Then Balrama is sitting. Now, there also the other person endeavors to get a little space there. You know, as soon as this fellow comes in, Krishna gets up and asks him, "Have you got ticket?" And the fellow says, "No. How dare you enter into this compartment? This is a, it is a reservation compartment. How dare you can come in?" The wrong is cut in the very initial stage itself. Get out. And then he was made get out. This is another leadership of Sri Krishna. The wrong is cut from the very initial stage itself. That is the thing which Krishna does. And now the third compartment, Ma Sharda, Sri Ramakrishna, and Mahendranath Datta, who was very close to Sri Ramakrishna. All three are sitting. And Thakur Sri Ramakrishna, we say, he's looking at outside everywhere, that nobody is coming inside. And then Sri Ramakrishna is not very happy. Somebody should come, he feels, and nobody is coming. Then what this man does, he slowly goes to the door and seeing a person going up and down, he asks, "Hey, where are you going? Do you want to come in? Please come, please come." Then he is bringing him. And then he says to Mahendranath Datta, "You just get down. I make this person to sit. You sit down." And this fellow was made to sit. And now, after some time, Sri Ramakrishna is asking to Mother Sharada, "This fellow is looking very tired, and I think he is, hungry. Have you got something to give him for eating?" And then Mother says, "Yes, I have something." Then the food is taken and given to this fellow. This fellow ate food very nicely. Then after some time, Sri Ramakrishna was seeing that fellow was dozing because he had food, and also naturally he is now in the mood of sleeping. So slowly Sri Ramakrishna and Ma Sharda also came down, and the fellow was given the seat for sleeping. The fellow was sleeping on the seat. And now looking at this, the TTR came. He saw the fellow who had no ticket is sleeping on the seat. The fellows who have ticket is sitting down. Then he wakes him up, that fellow. "Have you got ticket?" Then he said, "No, I don't have." Then he had written some penalty of 700 rupees to pay. And now this fellow was looking here and there. Then immediately Sri Ramakrishna is asking to Mahendranath Datta, "Are, have you got money? You give that penalty." So the penalty was also given. And when the stop came, this fellow got down. He was wondering, "My goodness, I was walking here and up and down. This man gave me and called me inside, gave me seat to sit, gave me food. Now I'm allowed me to sleep. Then when the penalty came, that also is paid. What is this? This is not a simple ordinary human being. He must be something very different." And this man goes home. He can't forget this man. Keeps on that face coming in front of him. What a kind of personality. Nowadays we don't get such a personality. And what kind of thinking he has. Then this man cannot stop himself. And what he does is, he makes a checkbook, he takes out and makes a check of 12,000 and sending to Ramakrishna, thinking that how I was taken care. He's unable to forget him. And few months passes. This fellow is unable to forget Sri Ramakrishna. And one day what happens to him? He takes his bag and goes to Ramakrishna, Sri Ramakrishna, and says, I want to be your disciple. See how the people were attracted, with his own actions. Now, nowadays, if somebody goes, "Oh, the fellow is coming, let me go this side," we don't want to see them, don't want to talk to them. Such kind of fellow beings are there nowadays. We try to escape. "Oh, that fellow is coming. My goodness, my day has gone now." That kind of attitude has been developed in the people. Why? Because of the personal behavior, attitude. Just imagine. And Sri Ramakrishna was the example for how to bring people together, keep them together, and transfer the goodness to them, transmitting such a thing. He was a transmitter, in fact. And he created such a transmitters. We can't forget about Swami Vivekananda. All those 16 disciples who were in the initial stage, they were all towering personalities. How come? These are all the transferring of the thing. If you are a teacher of whatever may be, if you are a mother, if you are a sister or anything you are a teacher, because we teach something or other in some way or other to somebody. Is it not? Every one of us are a teacher, in fact. So, if we are a teacher, we must think what type of teacher we should be. How can we transfer the thing? You know, if an asana has to be taught, how will we teach the asana? How will we say it's a benefit to the people? If it is said by experiencing, it will become different. When you say we are going to perform Arthakati Chakrasana, oh, so how is Arthakati Chakrasana? And then when we explain it with our own experience, suppose, you know, when we perform Arthakati Chakrasana, what happens to the body? And I experience it and then I speak, it will be different. You know, I will simply say theoretically, you do like this and you try to experience. But when I experience and tell it, it is going to be real, transforming the personality just in front of me through that asana. So being a yoga teacher should not be just, for the business sake or for the sake of passion. People want to, sing themselves and all that. No, our aim should be, we should be such a teachers. We really transmit such important aspect of yogasana through which we will create a very good health in the people, disciplined life. Whatever they may do in their life, they will be the best human beings. Whether it is in a company, whether it is at home, any sphere of life, whatever they may do. Sri Ramakrishna was of that type of teacher. As a yoga teacher, we are supposed to be that type. That means what? In us there is a transformation. We are ready to transform ourselves through the yogasana. Prasad and all conducting yogasana classes are not for business sake. It is for to create a good human being. Such teachers coming out will become good human beings and they will also bring good human beings in their company, whoever comes. So it will be a kind of satsanga, in fact. Why should we do otherwise this class now? Only teach some yogasana and tell its benefits and perform it, get the money and then finish it off. But we want the good human beings and therefore we are having this class. Otherwise that is not necessary. So Sri Ramakrishna was of that type of guru. No, the one who removes the darkness of the minds of the people. And that is why he is still living in our life. And that is why you teachers have to be of that type. That was Sri Ramakrishna. Now come to Ma Sharada. We say Ma Sharada, Holy Mother Sharada Devi, we say. But she has no biological child at all. Why is then also we call her as mother? It's really amazing to know. This madrutva, that is amma quality, is not in everybody. By giving birth to a child, you don't become really a mother. It is only for the saying of the sake of science, you are a mother because you have given birth to a child. But if you do not have that motherhood, that madrutva is not there, there is no use of giving birth to a child. You must be able to transfer the child and make the child to be the best in the society. When your child goes, everybody will look at his or her way of living the life. So such a mother has to be there. Mother Bhuvaneshwari Devi, who could bring up such a boy to Swami Vivekananda, Bile to Narendranath Datta to Swami Vivekananda. What a great transformation she could do. And Mother Sharada, having been giving child to birth to a child, but she is known as mother because he had motherly affection. But not only for the children who came to Sri Ramakrishna as his disciples, anybody, irrespective of religion, caste and creed and what not. Those days, any foreigners coming was not treated as very good. They were not very good in interacting or accepting. But Swami Vivekananda brought Margaret Elizabeth Noble, a foreign lady here, and then later on she became Sister Nivedita. How Mother Sharda has accepted her, and she used to call her Cookie. Means in Bangla, child daughter, she used to call so lovingly and should used to keep her so close. Mother knew only Bangla, but that lady knew only English. But these two used to converse so well. How? Because of the love and affection. But mother had you lot of love and affection, and that was the difference of Mother Sharada. Motherhood was really, it was just flowing out of her, and therefore all those children, all those disciples used to visit Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, all become her children. She used to love them, cook for them, feed them with all her love and affection. That is why when she used to, people used to, in a very young age, she got married, So people used to tell about Sri Ramakrishna, very nonsense to her. And people used to say that you don't have a child and all that. So Sri Ramakrishna says to her, oh, you want to be a mother? The entire world will call you mother. That is what he said to her. And today they are not there. Then also the entire world is calling her mother. Not simply mother, holy mother. Just imagine. Pavitram charitam yasya pavitram jivanam tadha pavitrata swarupinyai tasyai devyai namo namaha. Like that Swami Vivekananda chanted about her. Pavitrata. Today, what is the pavitrata? Whether every married woman they know, I don't know. We hear the stories today. What is that? Husband, no, they are married, husband has gone abroad and she goes with somebody here, he goes with somebody there. And whenever they meet again, they will live together. Now, nobody, cheating each other, in fact. So much of, the quality has came down. No understanding. Young age only, they go with anybody and everybody and leave, and then they become bored of life. But these people's life are really, it is an example for how to live a life of pavitrata, character, matters a lot. And today that kind of thing has to be developed. And when this yama niyama is, we practice in our life, definitely we can live. And for that we have to create such a thing. Why the yogasana is needed today? We are unable to manage our emotions. Is it not? And that is the main reason today people are falling to all nonsense. Kerala is facing a big problem now. You must have heard in the news that, this gold scandal had happened, and, that lady who is there, what is her name? Swapna Suresh. This lady, she has taken a lot of, gold scandal, and it is going on in Kerala. And they say that this lady had been put up, she doesn't have the educational qualification and all that. They speak about her. And then also she has been given in the big position, and that's why she is, she has done all these nonsense and so all that. But people who were with her, who supported her to do all nonsense, they are all highly qualified in the literate world. I should say, I should not say educated world, literate world, I should say. Literacy and education has a vast difference. Many of us are literate, but need not to be educated. So there are IAS officers with them. How to talk to them, talk about them as an educated person? No, I cannot talk, because the education has not entered into life at all. And such a thing if happens, what is the use of this education? So Mother Sharada and all, without going to the school education, how they could change the world. Whoever came to them, from their life, that be and make, Swami Vivekananda used to say, from the life, the goodness started transferring to the people who came into their contact. And now also, when we read them, we get inspired. Yesterday, in fact, Vivekananda Kendra Hebbal, our Prasadji and his team of workers were reading of Swamiji's complete works of Swami Vivekananda, and they were discussing in the night at 9 o'clock to 10:30. Very interesting. The life can be learned from their life. How can we live a life? So that is what is Swami Vivekananda's life. In fact, his own parents, and Guru, Guru Patni, and the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, they have given such an atmosphere to Narendranath Datta, and he grew as Swami Vivekananda. The very name, you just imagine, Bhuvaneshwari Devi is mother of Swami Vivekananda, and Vishwanath Datta was father of Narendranath Datta. And when he was saying that many names were there, like Bile, Vireshwara, what called Narendranath. These were all his names. I always wonder what a kind of combination, Bhuvaneshwari means what? Bhuvanake Ishwari. Bhuvana means the entire this globe, and Uska Ishwari, that is the goddess of the entire Bhuvana. That is Amma. And then Father Vishwanath, Vishwakenath, the leader of the entire universe. And the child is Narendranath, Narongenath. So what a kind of name, you see. And that he lives what he exactly is. That is what is become Vivekananda. And now the name Vivekananda also very appealing. Vivekam means what? Wisdom. Wisdom means what? Understanding between the right and the wrong. The one who has the capacity to take what is the right in the right time, in a right place, using the Viveka, the intellect and the wisdom, we should say, not only intellect is simply buddhi, but using it and choosing the right is called as Viveka. Many things are in front of you. Everything may attract you. What should be taken, what should not be taken? That is called as Viveka. Should I go there or should I not go? Should I do it or not to do? So to have that kind of differentiation, what to be taken, what should not be taken, where to go, where not to go, what to do, what not to do, etc. So Swami Vivekananda, when we look at Viveka, is the word which has the capacity, which the meaning is that you can have the discrimination power and then choose what is right for you. That is what is very important. And when you have that special power of discrimination and choosing, you will naturally live in ananda, happiness. Happiness is bound to come. If you don't want also, it will come, because you live with that attitude. So if you really just ask to yourself, what is the ultimate aim of your life? What is the ultimate aim of your life? What do you want to be? Why are we doing all these things? Can anyone unmute and tell me why are we here, and why do we want to be, and what is the aim of our life? Hope my question you understood. Anybody can unmute and say what is the aim of the life?
Ma'am, I would say that I'm Rajpriya, and my aim of doing yoga or practicing this, or even being able to teach somebody, is to attain peace. I want to feel that peace in my life. I want to understand and get a perspective of knowing myself, getting closer to who I am, and understanding myself better as an individual, as in what's going on within me, and understanding every emotion and how it affects the surroundings and how the surroundings affect my emotions. So I think that is my bigger aim, to be able to be in a state of peace and attain happiness and freedom
Fine.
from. Yes.
Fine. Anybody else? Aim of life. I just don't tell me because you are doing yoga for this. Not like that. You tell what is the aim of a human life. Anybody else? One or two can speak. Come on.
I'm Shubha here.
Yeah.
So for me, aim of any human being is to serve others. That's the purpose of the life. That's what I feel. Whichever capacity we have to serve others. So that's what.
Okay. Fine. Anybody else want to say something? Aim of our life. You take it your own life. What is the aim of your life? What do you want to get from this life?
Namaste, I'm Divya. My aim, what
Yes.
I see is my aim is only to bring my children in a very good way and present them to the society in a very good human beings, very polite, humble, and very forward-coming helpers to the society. That is my aim to learn this yoga. Thank you.
Okay, as time will be less, so see, I had been to IIT Kanpur. I was invited to give a speech over there on Swami Vivekananda, and very, the intellectual children are there in IIT Kanpur, and they were all young boys and girls were sitting in front of me. My lecture was over, then there was a question answer session. So one boy got up, he said, my aim was to get admission in IIT Kanpur. I got it. Now end, period. Now what is next? I am bored now. What is next, he asked me. No, so everybody was looking at him, and then they were looking at me. What am I going to say? I said nothing. I am going to say to you, I am just going to give you some example. I was interacting with one of the classes in Vivekananda Kendra Vidyalaya, class 7 students. I put the same question in front of the children asking 7th class. I asked them, it was a girls' school, and I asked this question. I said, what is the aim of your life? Many children got up saying, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to be IS officer, this officer, that officer, etc. This was the aim, they said. One girl got up. She said, Didi, will you say your question once again? I said, what is the aim of your life is my question. She said, if you're asking the life same, I think my life's aim is to become happy and a good human being. But my professional aim is to become an IS officer. See the difference a child is understanding when she is in class 7. There is a difference between your professional aim and your life's aim. Life's aim should never mix with this professional aim. Life's aim is for every human being. It is the happiness. You want happy. You want to be peaceful. You just don't want to be. Yes, we have to bring up our children. We have to look after family. We have to do that obligation. These are all okay. If you are not happy, then what will happen? With so much happiness, you bring up your children, and tomorrow when they will become old, they grow up. They don't have even time to talk to you. Where will you go? You have to further hold on. That is not your life's aim. You did your duty, that's all. Your responsibility you fulfilled, that's all. Your thing is that you have to become happy in your life, and for that, what is there that you should catch now itself, not later on. By that time, if you think you can't even catch up. Swami Vivekananda, this Ananda which I am saying is that only means in your life, every day check in yourself. Are you really happy? Are you able to find out some happiness in all your busy schedule here and there? You have to so many responsibilities. You have to go for work. You have to look after the family. This and that, and everybody has expectation on you, including your family members. Everybody is demanding. You are a giver. Go on giving, and ultimately, evening you have to go to the bed and think of yourself. What did you get? You got happiness. As she said, sir, directly Subha was saying, yes, the thing which I serve is different. Seva is different from the service. Service, we are in English, when we say service and the seva, the meaning is very different. Nishkama buddhya artha vipanna seva. You don't expect anything, you do something. That is called as seva. The company you will work, you will get salary. That's a give and take policy. That's okay, end of the period. But you do something which you did because of your happiness. You don't get money paid for that. And you must do that unless and until you do that. That's why Swami Vivekananda said, if you really want to be a happy human being, you must do something every day which you don't expect others to pay for you. Even not a thank you. Oh, you did this to us. Thank you very much. No, not even that. Don't expect. Means without expecting, you do something. That is what is Swami Vivekananda's life teaches us. What a great suffering he has undertaken to keep the name of this nation into the world, entire world of religion, parliament of religion. Swamiji goes there. What kind of difficulties he underwent, unimaginable. It was only for to keep up the name of this nation and its culture over there. We were under the clutches of the Britishers those days. And Swamiji went there and telling in front of them what is Bharatiya Samskriti. How we look upon the woman, how we look upon the people around. For us, everything is God. He said there to the people. For us, nothing like in this God is only there only God is there. No, for us, everything is God. That is why we do namaste to everything, you know. If by chance also our leg touches somewhere, we do there also namaste. Why do we do so? Because we see in that also God only. Are we not cultured? You know, we look at our mother, father, everything. Everybody is God for us. A tree is God for us. Why? Because it is only giving us oxygen. Had it been not, the trees are there. Should we not love them, respect them, worship them? Is it not our responsibility? Just imagine. And then we do that, we have been doing that, and people they call uncivilized, and then we also believe, yes, we are uncivilized. Unfortunate, right? We are not aware of our culture. And Swamiji goes and tells about our culture over there, and those people started appreciating, then we started appreciating. This was the very, very unfortunate thing of our people, you know. And therefore, Swami Vivekananda's life is something which is very important for him, because he had, you know, this yama niyama practice in his life. And nothing attracted him, hence when he went there. You know, one lady went to him. Don't think that he was not attacked by a woman also. One lady went and said to him, Swamiji, I want to marry you. Had it been, I'm going today, some foreign lady comes and tells what would have been his, response to that lady. Swamiji just asked that lady, why do you want to marry me? And she said, I want a child like you. And therefore, if I get married with you, I'll get a child like you. And then he immediately folded his hands and called her mother, accept me as your child. What is the guarantee that after getting married, you get exactly a child like me? So you accept me as your child. He called her as mother. Can you imagine? What a kind of personality. How come it happened? It is all because of Yama practice. It's all because of the disciplined life. And that is possible for every one of us. It is definitely possible. We can reach to that state of mind. Possibility is there. Only thing is strictly follow what is expected to be followed. Not simply speaking, but practicing. And that makes the difference in the life. Now, what a great thing, you know. And this is how Swamiji stayed over there. In what all the way, what a witty he used to be sometimes. You know, people used to mock at him for saying so many things. Oh, you are speaking about your Gita, your Bhagavad Gita is nothing. So one Padri, once he found, he wanted to somehow bring down, because he became so famous in the entire West world. You know, he wanted to bring it down. And then what did he do? You know, he went and kept all the religious books one after another. And you know, the Bhagavad Gita was at the last, and on the top was the Bible. And then he called, you know, Mr. Kananda, you come here. They were even unable to pronounce Vivekananda. They were calling Mr. Kananda. Mr. Kananda, you come here, and we are the greatest people in this globe. And you see, our Bible is on the top and your Bhagavad Gita at the bottom. You are nothing in front of us, like that. Then that fellow thought, this man will get angry now. Swamiji smiled, you know, and then he said, yes, you are sitting comfortably on the top because the foundation is very strong. Can you imagine? What a great answer, you see. Not getting angry or irritated. Definitely, because Bhagavad Gita is so strong, it can accommodate any other religious book. It is not a religious book. In fact, it is a book to be lived. The life skills are told in that. How to manage body, mind, and intellect is told in that. And if you don't read that and don't understand that, you simply say this book is nothing because of your ignorance. You don't know what is there inside. And you speak anything what you want. How can you say you are educated? Swamiji smiles and says, you are sitting very comfortably on the top because the foundation is very strong. That is Bhagavad Gita. What a great, don't get upset with anything. Swamiji goes around, this, when he went from here, now 11th September is coming. It is the Universal Brotherhood Day, we say. The Swamiji addressed the sisters and brothers of America, and the people got so much, attracted to his words of sisters and brothers, he called. Mind my words, it is not only Swami Vivekananda who said sisters and brothers. There were 2 or 3 people before him who also addressed him as sisters and addressed the gathering as sisters and brothers. But it did not enter into the hearts of the people. The political people, when they speak something, it doesn't enter inside, because they don't practice what they speak. But here is a man who really was a universal phenomenon. He said, very interesting incidents of Swami Vivekananda's life. When Swamiji returned from the west to the country, when his motherland, when he went to Calcutta, you can just imagine, people become so much attracted to Swami Vivekananda. Till then, he was not known to the people because he got lot of name there. And when he came back here, people become so happy. And, when you do something good, everybody will appreciate you, not only family, my father will say, my child, right? And the entire society will accept you. Everybody will come with so much of gift and other things to you. If you are not very good, nobody will come to know even. When you become something only, everybody will appreciate you. Swamiji came, and when he was entering in Calcutta railway station, people were standing with all the bouquets and mala and all that to receive him. And they were shouting in their language, that is in the language of Bangla, Amar Chele Swami Vivekananda. Means what? Our child Swami Vivekananda. That is in Bangla they were saying. Swamiji said, stop this nonsense. I am not a small community of Bengali now. I am a universal phenomenon. Don't try to close me in a small community of Bengali. I am a universal phenomenon. Because I can't think of myself as in a small community. What a great, and Swami Vivekananda says, expansion is life, contraction is death. If you understand what is the expansion, you expand you widen your horizon. You see the entire thing with a different perspective, right perspective, proper perspective. You will understand life is something marvelous. Not to be sitting down and crying. You got a human life, you can achieve everything through this body, mind, and intellect. Possible. Such a great life, and people, they say, oh, I am nothing. No, I can't do anything. But how have you thought of what all the faculties you have with which you can greatly grow in your life? And Swami Vivekananda was such a expanded personality. Then he said, expansion is life, contraction is death. The more you go, I and mine, that is the biggest problem of ours. I and mine. This is mine, that is mine. I, so much. And then we go on under going, and then we will become nothing. It takes us to the death. The more you expand your understanding, more you accommodate people, go with the people together, understand their feelings, you become a better and better person. You can tolerate anybody. You can, in fact, accept anybody. Toleration word is a different thing, by force it comes. Acceptance is something like, you love to accept. Accept with all negativity and positivity and whatever it may be. Family life one should be all acceptance, not tolerating. Husband tolerating wife or wife tolerating husband is not the thing. It should be acceptance. And Swami Vivekananda taught acceptance to us. India is now, Bharatiya Samskriti is such that it accepted everybody. And that is why we could make them to sit here. Today, if anything is going wrong, because somebody whom we accepted, they started against us, then only this fight started coming. Otherwise, India was not a place of fighting. It could accept everything, assimilate everybody. No, we were not against of anybody. Everybody's, faith was accepted here. You were given freedom to do worship to anybody. Swami Yogananda used to say, you believe in hundreds and thousands and millions of gods and goddesses, but if you don't believe in yourself, no use of all those and goddesses and goddess. He used to say. What means that? That means the God is within yourself. And he used to say, you go anywhere for worshipping unless you don't feel for the people nearby you who are suffering. If you don't pay attention to them, going to the temple or mosque or church has no meaning. Understand the people nearby you. What a great religion he was teaching to the people. That is what is today we need. So, as a yoga teacher, as you are learning and trying to grow in your life, take it as a very important aspect. Wherever you teach yogasana, you teach how to take care of this body, mind, and intellect through various asanas or pranayama or dhyana or whatever it may be. Convey, transmit this message. Let them go within themselves and understand that they are nothing but God. They can do anything and everything in their life. Let them manifest the God within, so that they can see everywhere. Then the peace come. As the sister was telling, no, what is her name? She was saying, no, I really want in my life, peace. Peace comes from within. How come? When I understand what is I am, then I look at everybody in that way, and the things will become different. And then you get really peace. And that is what is we have to achieve in our life. And that is how the life of this trio, that is Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Ma Sharda, and Swami Vivekananda. There is much to speak about them, because it's not out of the book and all. I just simply, love them so much. And therefore, when I speak of them, I forget everything. I don't know where I am talking to whom and all that I forget. That much of a big thing to learn from them. Their life itself is like that. So I don't want to extend, because it is an online program and sitting for long many hours is not too good for that. But I wish that if you wish to ask something or share something, few minutes, that could be also done, so that I can listen to you also. I'll get some new points also in the way. I can share it later on to somebody else also. So very, very happy to meet all of you, and your sincere, the way you are looking at and listening, it gives me an impression that you are enjoying and you are not together like. So if you feel like asking something, please ask with the permission of course, our Prasadji.
Yes, always
Uh,
welcome. Any questions?
I would say, I mean, we don't get to hear too much about these big people, and we don't like interact with everybody. So, would you like refer some books for us to read to get to know more about these people, like Swami Vivekananda or?
Yeah, on every one of them, wonderful books are there. It's are all experience sharing of that time, like Swami Vivekananda and the 16 disciples and all. Kathamrita, there is a book, Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, a book which is in a lifetime one must read. Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, with small incidents and how he connects our life. If you read that, really you will live in a different plane of life. So Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is a wonderful book. You can read, Swami Vivekananda's many books are there. You can go to any Ramakrishna ashram, bookstore, you can get a number of books. In one book you take up, that will lead you to a different plane of life. And by reading those books, you never become sannyasi and all. It is not to be feared of that, but you will become a good human being. That I'm sure about it. No any doubt of it. So everybody must read. So Sharda Devi's, Holy Mother Sharda Devi's life is there. You can take up any book and read. You go to the Ramakrishna Mission's bookstore in Bangalore and all, so many must be there. So, and otherwise our Prasadji can definitely help you in getting books on both, all three of them.
Thank
First
you.
of all, you in your course book itself about Trayo, there is a lesson, chapters are there in Samshipta in your course book itself about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Sharda Devi, and Vivekananda's life principles are there. About life story also is there. Apart from that, we are reading already the every Saturday 9 to 10 Swadhyaya of Swami Vivekananda's, one of the greatest or a very important book which every citizen should read, Colombo to Almora. So try to attend that also. So that will be beginning, and that way you can get into. And as Didi has told you, whenever you go to Chamarajpet or also go to Ramakrishna Mission, or in Artinagar, nearby Artinagar only, this Sharada Matha is there. There also you can visit. There are a number of books. Even your kids, you should start giving Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's story for kids. There are a number of story books of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Sharadama stories, and what they told, different stories. Vivekananda stories are there. That should be given as apart from the whatever toys you are giving. This should be the gift which you should. Even in this lockdown time, that is very, very important. Your children should start reading the books of Vivekananda and story books. And when you are giving a gift to somebody, instead of some cup or saucer and all, when you are giving it, let us give the books of Vivekananda. Let us give the book of, there are a number of modern books nowadays. Ramakrishna Mission has come out with very, very, very useful book of management, Vivekananda on management, Vivekananda thoughts on family life, Vivekananda on women, Vivekananda for the youth. There are a number of useful books. Let it be the gift for the, when you are going for a marriage, or let the couples read for the family life. There are a number of books.
Birthdays, especially birthdays give such books. Really, it is good.
So let us purchase and keep it some. What I do is generally that only. Whenever I give a gift, means only books you can expect. Anything of that category. Anything else? Anybody wanted to ask any other questions?
Ma'am Shiva here. One more question. I think Swami Vivekananda did not live for long, right? I think he was not even 40 when he left this body. So why, see, when such great people are there, live in this world for a long time, so much good can be done. Many people can move to the spiritual path, all that, right? Like, why such people leave their body so soon? Like, if you say Adi Shankara, they're all like within 30s only they left their physical body, right? So why?
Nothing to worry about. They, when we start working, now a common man working and a person with a mission working has a difference. Suppose a person like us and all, our sleeping hours are very less because we have lot many works to complete in a day, and every moment we are on the move for that work. So naturally we live fast and we die fast. It can happen. When I say we, means not that me and all, but mostly. So they are all of that cadre. When they came in, they came for a particular period, did that and left it. But doesn't mean that their work left. Swami Vivekananda, when he left the body, he said, I'll work through many bodies now. This was only one body, now work through many bodies, and we are all part of it. That is why we are together. Otherwise, we would have never been together. It's all because of his wish, and we are at least taking. I used to say my life that I used to say that maybe when Swamiji was alive, I was a mosquito and I cut him, and little of his blood I taken, and that is why I have become this what is today. we don't know, you know, the way it is attracting. Otherwise, as a person, I don't have anything. I was born in a Kerala, in a very small little village, and I was not known to anybody. I was neither interested for anything. I am so fearful even to go out and see anybody. First time I came out, my family was joining Vivekananda Kendra. And you know, the night which I spent in Kanyakumari was the day I came to Kanyakumari. It was on 1993. May 9th night. I cannot forget. I was just realizing night only, I don't have my mother with me, because I always was with my mother till I came to Kendra. I cried like anything. My goodness, what decision I have taken up? How will I live without my mother? But that was end of the day. After that, I never cried. That was the last cry of my life, because I came with a mission. When I looked at Swamiji called me, I came. Now why am I crying? I said. So the thing is that when you take up a mission in the life, you know to live for long. How you live is more important. How many years you live is less important. So therefore, we are all getting his spirit with us, and we are all living that. Shubha, don't worry, you will carry little of his work. You will be a mini Vivekananda, and all of us put will be a big Vivekananda. So that is their life.